All right, hello folks. It's Hadrian Mertens Kirkwood here, your Parity coordinator. Excited to get our first ever Parity simulation live stream kicked off. It's a bit of a wacky thing we're doing here. I'll be the first to admit, but these are kind of wacky times. So I hope that this works, first of all, and I hope that it's fun for everyone. I'm not sure exactly how things are going to go. I don't have a very strict script, and I should actually start by shouting out Jeffrey Seaborn, everyone's favorite Parity podcast host, who gave us kind of the idea for this in the first place. And if I can make it work next time, I'll have Jeffrey's talking head on here too, and he can help keep us on track and help provide some context for what we're doing with these live streams. And maybe that's where I should start. So this whole thing is definitely not going to take an hour, and it might take a lot less than that, but I'll just spend a few minutes on context before we jump right into the simulations. So I should say a couple things. One is, firstly, hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, please throw that into the comments, because it's important that you can hear what I'm saying, hopefully. And hopefully you can hear this sweet music. If you have questions about the music, it is a royalty-free Spotify playlist. I just searched up royalty-free music on Spotify. So if you have a different royalty-free Spotify playlist you would like to hear, you just throw that down in the comments, and I'll see if I can get you the soundtrack that you want for this thing. So that's a few housekeeping things. Please do keep the conversation going in the comments. I'll be trying to keep an eye on that as we go. And it'll be a chance for you to interact. I already see that Jeffrey and Sina are at it, so that's great to have you two here, and hopefully some other people will join. I know there's if you're an anonymous viewer, just throw your name in the chat so we know who's part of this. My goal for this is double digits viewers. That's my goal. If we can get to 10 viewers, then this is going to be a successful stream, and if we get any more than that, that's great too. So, why are we doing this? So, like I said, this was Jeffrey's idea, and we recorded a podcast about it. So, if you haven't listened to it, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that Parity podcast. And the idea was that looks like we're not going to be playing the rest of the Parity League season. That's a bummer. But it's not just Parity. Obviously, everyone's stopping doing stuff. But we're lucky in Parity because we just are swimming in data, and we were trying to think of what's something we could do with the data we have to kind of play out the season in some form. And I started to get to work on an Excel algorithm that works based on the stats we already have to make predictions about what will happen in the future, how players will perform. So, for example, every time there's a player throws it, if they usually complete 9 out of 10 passes, then we will randomly determine if they throw it away this time, and there's a 9 out of 10 chance that they complete the pass. But that's how it works. And what I'll do actually while I'm talking is I'm going to throw up a demonstration simulation. So this is not going to be an official one for context. This is just for kicks. We'll throw this up, and this is going to be a real-time demonstration of how the simulator works. So this is what you're seeing now is a real-time simulation between Julia and Laura, which is going to be our first official simulation in a few minutes. It's not right now. Again, to be clear, this is not an official result here. Just to show you kind of how the simulator works. And what it's doing is one event at a time playing out the game. And this is slowed down to real time. The simulation happens almost instantly, as fast as my computer can handle it. But what I've set up here is a kind of real-time demonstration, so showing you what happens. So in this particular case, it's firstly flipping a coin to see which team starts with the disc. In this case, it determined that Team 2 was going to pull. And then when the disc lands, it randomly determines which player on Julia's team is going to pick it up. And it does that based on which of these players has historically picked the disc up the most. It does a random chance. So if you typically pick the disc up 10% of the time, you have a 10% chance of picking it up here. In this case, that's Kenzie. And then, at each stage, there's a random calculation based on past data. So first, Kenzie has to have a target, and we kind of run the numbers and see that maybe LeBay has a 30% chance to be the target. Anyway, he's picked randomly in this case. And then we have a whole bunch of things. We have, is there a chance that the disc is thrown into the ground? Is there a chance that LeBay drops it? Is there a chance that a defender gets in the way? And that's actually what happens on the next instance, as you can see. LeBay makes a throw, but Travis Davidson gets a block there. In fact, catch block, which is another random event. And then it goes on. And then they pass. We try and guess like what are the odds that the catch was for a goal, and we do that based on the odds or the historical odds that someone would, whenever they make a pass, how likely is it to be an assist, and whenever someone catches a goal, catches a pass, how likely is it that it's going to be a goal? So we're doing this all based on historical data, randomly determining what happens in each given event using those historical probabilities. And I know it already came up earlier as a question that what data are we using? And we're only using data from the first 5 weeks of this Parity season, which is why you might get some results that surprise you. Because there are people, I'll call him out because he's one of the best players in the league, Simon Walker, but he hasn't had an exceptional stat line in the first 5 weeks of the season. And that's reflected when we run simulations with his team, is he tends to not have exceptional outcomes. And that's just because of the data set we're using, which is quite limited. And then there's other players who've had a really good start to the season, and they play like superstars in the simulation, and that's just because of the data that we've chosen to use for this system. So we're coming up on like 10 minutes, and I think we should just get right into the first game. I should just like have a quick look at the comments. No one's requested new music, so we're gonna stick with this cool retro synth playlist I found. And I think one thing we should also do quickly is review the standings. So this is where we left off. This is not Zalura. I've had to kind of recreate the standings because moving forward we're going to be doing this on our own. This isn't the prettiest, but as you can see above me right now, we've got Sully and Morgan's teams are tied for first place, four wins apiece, and at the bottom is my own team, Love Aggietually, at 1 and 4. Everyone else is kind of filling out the middle, but there's lots of Frisbee left to play. We still have several weeks before playoffs, and then as you can see, we have the playoff bracket there. So every time we do one of these live streams, we'll keep filling this thing in and seeing how the season progresses. And I should note that after this week after tonight's games, there will be a trade window. We'll talk a bit more about that. Talk a bit more about that later. So what I'm going to do is just end this kind of live game that's happening behind us. And we're going to go into the official simulation, which is not going to happen in real time. It's going to happen at an accelerated time, over about a minute and a half. Still delayed so we can watch, but not instant, because that would be less fun. So we'll just kind of end this game here and clear it. So this first game is between Julia and Laura. And one thing we can do, maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but I will do it just to show you. And this is, we're getting into a little bit of like how the sausage works here, or whatever they say, how the sausage is made. You can get a little bit of sausage on this podcast, on this stream. And what I'm going to show you is, instead of doing one game slowly, I'm going to simulate quickly 20 games between these two teams to see, what is, if you play a set of games between any two teams, what are the kind of range of outcomes that are possible. And I just wanted to do this to show you that every game is actually random. So what we've done now is played 20 games between them. Laura's team won 12 of those games. Julia's team won 6. They tied twice. The average score was about 21-20, but if you kind of skim through, there's games where Julia won 24-16 in one of these games. Another game, Laura won 27-18. And these are all kind of, in any given night of parity, that score would not be unreasonable. But you would expect that the better team would win more often. And based on this quick simulation of 20 games, it looks like Laura's the favorite heading into this one. Now, a sample of 20 is not the best. If we were actually trying to do like a a good prediction. I might run this 100 or 1,000 times and see who wins most often, and that would give us a good sense of who the favorite is going into the game. So anyway, looks like maybe Laura's the favorite, but that doesn't mean there's no guarantee. All right, so we're gonna set this up now, and we are gonna go into our first ever official Parity simulation, and that's gonna be a game between Julia and Laura. So here we go, and run simulation, and we are off. So on the screen you're seeing this happening quite quickly because we're trying to play through an hour and 20 minutes of Frisbee in less time than that. And it's pretty even early on. Looks like they're trading points, but Laura's up a break. But Julia keeping it close. Now a tie game. So nothing too crazy at this early stage, about 20 minutes into the game. A long point here that Laura holds on for. Julia with the goal here. So it looks like we're mostly trading points, but now Julia's opened up a bit of a lead, a 3-point gap. Still holding it at 3. A couple quick goals there. And as we approach half, it's still neck and neck. Another long point that they're playing out to end the half. So the half ends 11-8 for Julia's team, and they're hanging on to now extended to a 4-point lead, the biggest lead of the game for Team Julia. Laura's going to have to do some work here with about 25 minutes left, but this 4-point gap, 5-point gap, So it looks like the wheels are kind of falling off for Team Laura with about 17 minutes left in the game. Can they close the gap? No, it's 2, but now 3 again. 10 minutes left to play. They're going to really need to string something together, but it doesn't look like it's happening. 20-15, 20-16, but Team Julia really hanging on when it counts, and that's the end of the game. So we've in our first official Parity simulation ever, very exciting, is a win for Team Julia over Team Laura. So the first cut is the deepest, beats Be My Frisbae, and so congrats to Julia. And what we're gonna do now is pop over. I'll show you the this report. So this is all the player stats from the game, and I'm possibly during the stream, but more likely at the end of this, I'm gonna put this PDF in a public folder for everyone to check out. And this is showing you a summary of what happened in that game. So if we have a quick look, the real hero here for Team Julia was Alicia Zhao. Maybe no surprises there, 5 goals, 3 assists. But Julia Riddick, GM, leading the way as well with 5 goals herself. So the ladies for the first cut really tore it up in this simulation. On the other side, Travis Davidson had a solid game. He had 4 blocks, so not bad. And in fact, Laura's team had 13 blocks in the night, so they were getting the Ds, but a lot of throwaways and quite a few blocks. Alan Godding had unfortunately just a miserable game. 5 throwaways, couldn't really string much together. The poor guy. Kelsey 4 assists, not bad, and he was moving the disc a lot with 25 completions, but also 4 throwaways, so that's going to cost you. And that it looks like Laura's going to have to just work a little bit on her possession game between this week and the next time we play. And I'll just show you while we're here what the rest of this looks like. So this is the same PDF, which again I'm going to share publicly. You can have a look through this, and this is a summary of every event that happened in that game, back and forth, who scored, what happened, and so on over the course of an hour and 20 minutes. So that's our first official result. So I'm gonna just pop that in here, and we're gonna go back to our inset. So there we go. So that's our first official result, 21-17 for the 7 p.m. time slot on March 16th. And again, congrats to Team Julia. And we're gonna move on to our next game, which is Morgan and Brian. I should again pop in, check the comments. I don't have a community manager, but okay, yeah. So people are keeping an eye on the stats. Yeah, Alicia and Julia with 5. That's right. So they were definitely leading the way for their team. So what do we have? I said Morgan and Brian. So this is our second game of the night. I gotta find you in here. And again, as I said, this is based on data from the first 5 weeks of the season. And as we move forward with the rest of the simulations, it is going to be iterative. So the fact that Alicia and Julie had 5 goals apiece is going to make it more likely that they get more goals in future simulations. So just keep that in mind, because things could start to skew a lot over the course of a lot of simulations. So what I'm going to do quickly, just because it's kind of fun to see, is do a quick game simulation with Morgan and Brian's teams, just to see what happens. Do we have a clear favorite if we run that many simulations? And I'm trying to remember, I was playing with this earlier. It looks like an even split. So in these 20 games we ran, each team won 9 times and there were 2 ties. So it looks like they're pretty evenly matched. Although, interestingly, Brian's team averaged a score of 21, Morgan's team a score of 20, so Brian was winning by more when his team won. We'll see if that translates into our actual official simulation. So on that note, we're about to do our second official game of the night. This between JT Got Us Fallen in Love, GM Morgan, and How to Lose a Disc in 10 Stalls with GM Brian. So whenever we're ready, here we go. And we're off. So holds to start the game. Yeah, 2 holds apiece. So both teams just getting settled into the action at this point. Although we do have looks like our first break of the game. Morgan stringing a few together here, getting Brian on his heels. Again, trading points. And some quick points here. This is shaping up to be a very high-scoring game. We'll see what happens as the rest of the game plays out. But again, scoring. We're only half an hour in, and we've got almost 20 goals between the 2 teams. And wow, so it looks like something is going wrong for Brian. I'd recommend a timeout, but you can't call those in the simulation. It's 15-9 at the halftime, so Brian's got a lot of ground to make up. But Team Morgan is not letting up, holding on to a 6-goal lead as we approach the hour mark. Now a 7-goal lead. This is a big hole for Team Brian, which is frankly full of talent. You'd think someone like Dante or Alyssa Mainwood could grab the bull by the horns and turn this thing around, but it doesn't look like Team Morgan is willing to do that. The gap has narrowed a little bit to 4 goals, but there's only 10 minutes left to play. And with 3 minutes left, 3-goal game, and that's the final, 22-20. So well done, Team Morgan. Came out with a big lead, and although Team Brian strung together a pretty desperate last-ditch attempt to narrow the gap, it was too little, too late, and the final score is 22-20 for Team Morgan. We'll pop over to look at the player stats from that game. And it was Adam McDonald for Team Morgan leading the way with 3 assists. But Jay Thor, 5 goals. Look at that. On 14 catches, so very efficient. No turnovers. That's a big game. Lance pitching in with 5 second assists. Interestingly, Morgan's team only had 133 completions, which is quite low. So they were very efficient, not touching the disc too much. Hogo was the main disc mover on that side. For the other team, Rachel Young had a fantastic game. She was actually the MVP of the game, highest salary, 4 goals and 2 assists. That's fantastic. So well done, Rachel. GM Brian Perry pitching in with 5 assists, as is his wont, and no throwaways. So I think he probably could have taken more chances in this game, frankly, especially when your team's behind like that. Andre Scott, 4 goals on 10 catches, so again, very efficient in the end zone. But Alyssa, 6 throwaways, that's definitely going to hurt you, and that may be in the story of this game. Team Brian, 26 throwaways to Morgan's 19. So that's going to be the difference in the long term. So although it's okay, so good stuff. We're going to move on to, or I should update our official scores here. So we've got 22 for Morgan to 20 for Brian, and I'll bring you back over to have a look at this. So our home team has won the first 2 games of the night, and we're heading into the late slots now, where we know anything can happen. Our next game is Mehmet and Al. So let's pop over to the simulator, and I'll load in those 2 teams. We've got Mehmet and Al, and we're gonna run, again, just because it's kind of fun to see, we're gonna run that 20-game quick simulation just to see what happens. I should pop into the comments, and we're seeing some comments. A bug in the simulator for Adam McDonald. Well, he has his moments. So The interesting, actually, the comment there, maybe the random was cranked up in that one. So you can see on the screen at the top, it's kind of cut off, but the number 2.0, that's my my global inequality multiplier. And 2.0 is kind of the default setting, and what it is basically is the likelihood that top players have the top performances, basically. So if you drop it down to almost 0, then it makes the game very random. And if you crank it up to 10, then you're going to have Corey Boucher with 50 pickups and everyone else with 0 kind of thing. So it's how much do you skew based on the data you've got, and the 2 is the number that I've landed on. It seems to be most accurate. But anyway, to that comment, yes, we could really crank up the randomness by dropping that variable to 0. Now, anyway, in this one, this game we've simulated 20 times, and it's split evenly, 10-10, pretty even across the board. So Mehmet and Al, at least at a glance, look pretty evenly matched. So we're gonna hop in, load up our third official live stream of the night, and here we go. So right out of the gate, they're trading points, and we got a long point there, but then a quick hold by Mehmet. So we're looking pretty even. No team is coming out flying, and that can often be the difference maker if you just get out to an early lead and the other team can never claw back. But looks like we're keeping things even at this stage, about 20 minutes in. One thing I would like to do is be able to have a running stats tally while we're watching the sim, but I don't have that yet, so you just have to pay really close attention to who's scoring goals. I do have it delayed for about a second on every goal. And while I've been talking, Al's actually strung together a few breaks, and as we head into, there's our halftime. It's actually a 5-point lead now. So Mehmet was trading early, but the wheels kind of fell off in the second quarter. The question is, can they turn things around now in the second half? It's still a 4-goal lead, but now it's down to a 3-goal lead as we hit the hour mark. So crazier things have happened. We've got about 15 minutes left, and it's a 2-goal game. And look at that, Mehmet scored again. Now we're only 1 point apart. Al gets an important hold, but this is a 1-point game with 10 minutes to go. Mehmet's still going to need to score a couple breaks here. It's a long point, and Al holds on. That might be the game. Oh, and there's another break. Another break. Well, and the wheels fell off from Mehmet at the end. And that's a 5-point win. So 21-16 for Al over Mehmet. Nicely done for Team Al. Let's have a look at the stats there, and it's Dave Townsend is the MVP of this game. Look at that, 3 goals, not bad, but 6 second assists. So he was really putting the disc into good positions, despite having 4 throwaways. On the other side, Simon Walker, who I was kind of poo-pooing at the start of this stream, actually had a great game. 2 goals, 3 assists, moved the disc pretty well overall. Heather Wallace, 3 goals, not bad. Jefford, 4 goals. So usually you see him on the other side of the disc throwing those. But a great performance from him. Jay Limer with 3 Ds, that's important. But yeah, for the winning team, Mike Lee had a relatively quiet game, 4 assists, and importantly 5 throwaways. So he wasn't firing on all cylinders, but it was okay in the end. Ethan Brady also had a great game, very reliable with 28 touches. So good work there for Team Al, pulling out the win. So let's, I'm gonna just update our run in the game scores. And we'll pull ourselves back over here. Okay, so we've now run 3 simulations. Home teams won the first 2, and our away team won the second one. So that means 2 to go. I should pop over and just see what the comments are over here. People are still chatting, that's great. We're up to 15 concurrent viewers, so I hit my goal, which was the double digits, and I'm glad you're all here to join us. So let's get ready for our next simulation, which is going to be between Team Sully and Team Nat. So we'll throw that up. Find date night and reason to love Ottawa. And we'll do this again. We'll run the 20-game simulation just to see if there's a clear favorite between these teams. And you'd think Sully is the #1 team in the league right now, but you know, Parity League, the games are always pretty close. And in fact, Nat actually wins this quick simulation. 10 out of 20 games, they tied once. And they looked pretty close overall. So it looks like we might have a bit of a toss-up here in our 4th game of the night. So let's get ready for our official stream, and here we go. And Sully out to a quick start with a quick break, and that's gonna get and another break. So this is the kind of time, wow, 4-0. The kind of game where when you're Nat, it's 6-0. Nat, you got to call a timeout and get things in order because this game is running away from you. 7-2 now, so Nat has their team has got on the board, but they're gonna have a hard time closing what was at one point at least a 6-goal gap. And it's still 6 goals now as we hit the half-hour mark. 7 goals, 8 goals. Oh, this is hard to watch. So our number 1 seed is just going to town here on poor Nat. As we hit halftime, it's a 7-goal gap, 15-8. So I don't know. This is the time where maybe if you're GM Sully, you maybe ease off the gas a little bit. You experiment with some new lines and some new plays. Unfortunately, Simulator GM Sully doesn't know how to do that. Is just going to keep playing as well as his team can play. And well, you see what's happening. They've doubled the score with a 12-goal lead. It's just painful to watch. At this point, you'd hope someone steps in and calls it, but they're continuing to play. Still with a 12-goal lead, 13-goal lead, and that's the end. So Team Nat does, they score the last goal. It's a Newman to Mikey goal, which is a morale booster to end on a goal. But you can't be happy with how that game went if you're GM Nat. And I mean, frankly, in Parity League, GM Sully can't be too happy either with that salary. If we just have a quick look, the team salary was almost $800,000 in normalized salary for Sully, and a brutal under $400,000 for Team Nat. They do have a missing player, so it'll be a bit higher in the system. But anyway, look at the hero here is Colin Scarf with 9 goals. It is just playing the way he knows how to play. That's an incredible line, and only 1 throwaway. So he was getting to the end zone and getting it done. Rachel Hurdle had a great game, 4 goals, 3 assists. And throw in those, Cam Kennedy, of course, the young gun. And then also Bo, who's having a fantastic season, continues to pitch in with 6 assists. So really a great performance from Team Sully. On the other side, it's hard not to look at GM Nat Mullen's 7 throwaways and wonder, why weren't you giving someone else a chance with the disc to pick it up? But still 5 assists, so she was taking her shots, and they were working sometimes. Jose also pitched in with 4 assists. But just, they just didn't score enough. And 10 drops, I'm looking at that, 10 drops for the team. That's a lot. And in fact, Johnny Champagne had 4 of those drops. So I don't know what was going on, Johnny, but, maybe get some chalk before next week. We'll throw that score into our official one, but it does make me cringe to look at such a lopsided score in this league. But you can expect kind of one blowout a game. That's often what happens in Parity League. So look at that. We've played 4 games now, 4 official games, and we've saved all the stats from them. So this will be all this data will be going back into the system. These scores will be going into our standings and so on. And importantly, the salaries will be going to all your GMs who are going to be making trades in the next few days. But before we get to next steps, we do have one more game to play. I'm going to pop over to the comments, getting some respect from Cena. Thank you. Yes, Virtual Bo is too strong, but I mean, have you been watching him this year? Real life Bo is having a renaissance in Parity, so it's a shame that this season was cut off for his sake alone. Okay, so we're gonna pop over to MAnge and Kindha for our final game of the night. We got MAnge and we've got Kindha. We'll pop them in there. And again, because it's fun, we'll do a quick run 20 games quickly and see what happens between these two teams. I suspect it should be pretty even. When I was kind of testing this out earlier, these looked like pretty balanced teams. But oh my goodness, look at this. So in the 20 simulations we run, Kindha's team won 16 of them. So I have to say I didn't expect that. Certainly makes me nervous since I'm playing in this game on the potentially losing team. Although the scores aren't that far off, but about 22-18, well, looks like MAnge is up against a tough game tonight. So why don't we get to it? We'll get our game loaded up, and here we go. So we're off, and we've traded points to start. And I mean, keep in mind, I thought these teams were gonna look pretty even, but when we did that quick little prediction, Kindha was really blowing MAnge out game after game. So is this gonna be different when we do the official one? And sure enough, Team MAnge just strings together a few breaks early in the game to take a 5-goal lead. They must have heard about the prediction and changed how they were playing. I know that's happened in the past. Look at this, a 6-goal lead. And again, a 6-goal lead. So there's no shortage of talent on Team Kindha, but they're having a hard time getting things going. But you'd think that Jesse Robinson and Greg Ellis connection would be worth a little bit more. And maybe it will be. There's still plenty to play, but as we're now entering the second half, the gap is not getting any closer. 5-goal gap now, but Team MAnge continuing to execute on their offense, and they're going to really need to start making some mistakes for this game to be any closer. But there doesn't look like it. It's still a 4-point game with 15 minutes to play. It's certainly going to take some doing by Team Kindha, but it's I'm not seeing it now. Well, three-goal game with 10 minutes to play, 2-goal game with 6 minutes to play. It's an important hold for MAnge, and another one to prevent that comeback. And there you have it, 19-16. So Team MAnge hangs on to win that one, even though the simulator suggested that that was quite unlikely. So good stuff. Let's pop over to the stats and see what happened there. Well, it was the new guy, new addition on Team MAnge, Alex Tremblay-La Rochelle with 5 goals, not bad. And getting some help from Kevin Hughes and Aggie, each with a set of goals. Assists coming from all over the place. It looks like we had a problem. Yeah, myself and Nick Theriault, 5 throwaways apiece, and Matt Landry with 4. So we could have made this game a lot less close if we'd just been a little bit more responsible. On the other side, Jim Robinson doing everything he could. 3 goals, 2 assists, 4 second assists, so he was really in the play. Greg Ellis, look at that, 37 catches. So he was working hard and had 4 goals, but he also had 4 throwaways. And when you're a top-end player, I don't know, that's not good enough. So I know GM Kindha is going to have a talk with her team. They definitely seemed like the favorite coming into this one, and they're not going to be happy with that result. But that's it. So we've done it, and we've got all our official scores. So I'll just pull you back over to here. So you can see in the bottom right of your screen our official scores for games that were meant to be played on March 16th. And these will, I'm not gonna do this immediately. We're gonna at some point stop the stream, and then I'll have a checklist of things to do, which will include putting all of those PDF game reports into a public folder. So if you want to go back and look at your game and your stats, you can do that. We will also update the standings. Right now, those standings are only in a kind of internal sheet, so I'll find a way to share that. And I also have to find a way to get the new salary data to the new GM or to the GMs to make trades over the next few days. But the main thing for you to look for, if you're just a player or fan of Parity, is we'll have a post going up in the forum, probably tomorrow at some point, which has a summary of the games that were played, update to the standings, and maybe a leaderboard if I can get that working, that kind of stuff. Will all go into the forum, as well as details for the next live stream, which I'm tentatively planning for Monday. Possibly at the same time. We can, if you have feedback though, please do let me know. Leave it in the comments here, send me a message on Slack or something, whether this was a good time, maybe later would be better. And let me know whether you want more or less from this stream. So this took us about half an hour, which was kind of what I was hoping for, was about a half-hour stream. But we could do longer, and I've been thinking that maybe for the finals, we could actually do the finals in real time with some commentary. I'm going to see what I can do in the next few days about adding some other talking heads to the mix, so we can get some of your favorites from the Parity community in on the stream. I don't know how that's going to work yet. I can't promise it, but I think that would be a lot of fun to do. So I think that's it. I'm seeing, yes, Jeffrey Seaborn mentions that poker happens on Monday. And I do know that there are also Frisbee people do trivias on Thursday. So maybe the Monday Thursday is not the best for this community. So maybe we'll think about that, and maybe we do a Tuesday Friday or something. So let me know what you think. We'll float it out there in the forum and on the Parity Slack. So I think that's it. I should make sure I didn't miss any of the things I did want to talk about. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to be able to update that stuff. So yeah, and the last thing I guess I would say is if you want to help, please let me know. I was thinking specifically to have help writing up the game summary. So like we have this kind of stat sheet. It'd be fun to have a kind of write up about what happened in the game, what were some of like the big plays and so on, big performances, funny moments. And in short, like 1 paragraph per game. So if that's something you're interested in doing, let me know, and that will help we'll go into the forum with the write-up. And yeah, if you're interested in maybe being on the stream in some capacity, let me know, and I'll try and figure out that technical piece. So I think that's it for me. Again, thanks to everyone who tuned in. This was a lot of fun for me and something I've been excited to put together as I've just been spiraling into madness in my isolation basement. So if you have other ideas for how we can make the rest of this virtual season play out, I'd be happy to hear them. Yeah, I mean, we're all in this together, so let's make the most of it. So on that happy note, I'm going to call it a night and end the stream. Again, thank you very much for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.